ای پادشه خوبان داد از غم تنهایی، دل بی تو به جان آمد وقت است که بازآیی. دایم گل این بستان شاداب نمی ماند، دریاب ضعیفان را در وقت توانایی. King of kings, attend our lonely cries. This heart can't bear where separation lies. Without your presence, all joy turns to pain. Return, our beloved, let love reign again. This garden fades without you, its bloom begins to die. Come tend the weak once more, O Lord, our Savior, restore. This is from Divan Hafez, Ghazal 493. Beloved Avatar, Meher Baba ki Jai, Jai Meher Baba, everybody. Thank you for coming and bringing your light and love with you. ممنونیم تشریف آوردید و نور و صفا رو با خودتون آوردید. My name is Mehnaz and thank you for joining us to celebrate MeherSepas's 50th year anniversary. This beautiful poem by Hafez that I just read to you, as you heard in the translation, it speaks about the longing for the return of the avatar to come back once more and rescue the universe from the illusion of separation. We are all united, and as Baba has said, you and I are not we, but one. He is here. He has come to wake us up. And today we rejoice in his love on this very special day. And we are deeply honored and welcome dear Charles, who has graciously accepted our invitation to come and speak on the very important topic of faith and doubt. Charles, welcome. We are so happy you could be with us. Jai Meher Baba.
Jai Baba, thank you. That's so beautiful. The music was so beautiful as well. Thank you for the music. It really brought Baba close. Let's see. Am I now unmuted? Okay.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Good. Uh, well, thank you so much, and it is an honor and privilege to be with all of you. I admire so much the wonderful work that you've done these past 5 years to bring people together. I can only think that it makes Baba very happy that that you've built this community, this virtual community, and it's such a great use of technology. You know, we always sort of, I mean, I'll speak for myself. Sometimes I think, well, technology is the bane of our existence, but actually, in this kind of setting, how wonderful it is that we can connect with people all over the world, and the dedication of those of you who have made this possible for these 5 years is very inspiring. Thing that struck me in thinking about this is to start with Baba saying that we all live in God's dream. We all live in God's dream. Now, I don't know about you, but it helps me to remember that every day. Not because I experience that exactly, that I'm aware fully of what that means, but just to say it and remind myself that yes, we have to go about our work, we have to take our responsibilities seriously, and all that. But remember, Baba says, it's all a dream. It's all a dream. So we have faith in this dream. We have doubt in this dream. And only when we wake up, finally, he says, do we realize that it was all a dream. Faith, doubt wasn't. It was just part of the dream. Necessary part, but part of the dream. So that's really what faith and doubt are for Baba, is part of this experience we go through in order to wake up. We have to go through it in order to wake up. So in the dream, he says, this is image that he loves to use, that we, as you know, we are watching, or our true self is watching the show, the film, as it were, that Baba says, the film that was taken long ago. And it is the will of God that emerged, Baba says, in the original whim, the will of God. Everything that we experience as past, present, and future emerged in the original whim as his God's will. And that's what we live in this dream. We live in the will of God. And we experience it as unfolding, on the screen of consciousness. This happens, that happens. Uh, I mean, even when we remember that Baba says it's a dream, it's a film show, it seems very real to us as it's unfolding because we are so identified with it, aren't we? Ourself is not participating in it, but is so identified with it that it seems so real. Baba says, everything in the universe is, and from the beginning has been, a materialization of the original divine whim, working out irrevocably without default, deflection, or defeat. It is the unfolding upon the screen of consciousness of the film of creation, sequence after sequence, according to the pattern that issued from the original whim. It just is. If we have faith at this moment in our dream, if we have faith in God and Baba, that was meant to be. It was meant to be. We say, oh, I have faith. Well, no, the will of God is that at this moment we have faith. If we have doubt, well, that's meant to be as well, he says. That's what we are destined to have at this moment. And when we remember that, if we remember what he gives on that, I think it helps when you have periods of deep faith or you have periods of grave doubt. It helps remember this is the gift. This is what I'm supposed to experience now. I feel it puts us a little bit at a distance from what we take to be so real, which is not real at all. So when we watch this film and our true self identifies with the lead character and falsely thinks, I have faith or I have doubt, it's just a show. But it's a show, Baba says, a film worth watching, worth viewing, only because through the experience of this film show that he produced long ago, this dream of God, only in that does consciousness turn from the false to the real. There's no other way. That's why Baba dedicates God Speaks to the illusion that sustains reality. Means, well, without the nothing out of the everything, the creation, the everything would never know that it is everything, or that its nature is love, more importantly for Baba. He always comes back to that. This whole dream is for only one thing. It's for the sake of love. And love must love. So here we are. We, the lover, Baba, the beloved. And that's how God knows God's nature as love. As horrific as sometimes the dream is, it's like a nightmare sometimes, or as beautiful as it might be, it's all for the sake of love in the end. Now, at some point in our journey, well, we say journey, Baba says actually it's not a journey, but we call it that. But we're there in the theater, as it were. Let's use that metaphor again. And we're absorbed in the film. We're so absorbed we think it's real. And Baba comes to us at some point, at the right moment. And he gives us, and this is all from him, I don't know what he does. The avatar is beyond my comprehension. I'm just going to say what he says. And he says that he gives us the gift of recognition. like he's given to all of you. You wouldn't be here. We didn't do it. We say, oh, yes, I came to Baba such and such. Well, what we really mean is Baba found me. Baba let me see some glimpse of him. Without that, we wouldn't be coming to a meeting about Meher Baba. You know, we wouldn't be interested. We wouldn't be in love with him, would we? It's all it's all from him, not from us, whatever that is. And that recognition, I mention it and I go back to it in my own mind and heart all the time because that is the ground of our faith. However strong or weak our faith is at any point in our journey, the ground of it is recognition. Ah, it's you, you know? And we may feel that more strongly sometimes and less other times. And we may wonder if it's really the case. That's all natural. It's part of the human experience. But that's the ground of any faith we have, you know. So I wanted to share with you the first time I realized something along these lines was the case in my life with Baba. And I think it may be helpful to tell the story because we all have moments in our life when we realize that Baba is something beyond our comprehension, but is something very deeply real in ourselves. And this happened to me after he left Myrtle Beach in 1958. And that was, of course, for me, when I met Meher Baba and in the human form, and at the Sahabas in Myrtle Beach and at his home in the West in 1958. And you know, I've how else to put it? I fell in love with him, you know. And I was 8 years old, but and I now realize Baba let me see something of him, just something, glimpse, right? It's all it takes. It's all it takes. And so I was in love with him. I only wanted to be with him. I mean, the after the moment I met him or came back into his presence, however you want to think of it, uh, I didn't want to leave his presence. So that was his gift. You know, people could be at a gathering with Baba, and many were, and they don't remember what happened much, or they didn't this, that. You know, people have different experience, but not because they're limited or because whatever. It's because the timing is all for Baba. And when he gives that recognition, it's nothing to do with my effort or anyone's effort. It's the timing he has to give that glimpse. Anyway, he gave it. Everything he did while I saw him there, those what 10 days, 12 days, whatever it was, everything he did, I got more and more deeply in love and drawn to him and felt he loved me and uh, and didn't want to leave him. But the day came when he left. The next stop was Australia and then back to India. Now, I didn't know much about Meher Baba when I met him. I didn't know all these things about Avatar and, you know, all this. I mean, I learned that later. But as far as I was concerned, he was Baba, and I loved him, and he loved me, and so that was all. And I didn't want him to go. I didn't want to part with him, and it was very painful. But of course, he left physically. And from 1958 until 1962, had no contact with that form of Meher Baba. But what I did have was that seed of recognition. And so I would go to the center because we lived in Myrtle Beach at the time, and I would go to the center. I would walk around places where he walked, where he was, which is why the center is such a great gift, is because the sacred land there, you can walk there and Baba is so present. So anyway, I would walk around. I would think of him. I would remember him. I would feel him. And in that time, without my really knowing it, I only thought about this later, I really came to know Baba. I mean, I didn't think of it that I thought Baba's in India. I wonder if he is thinking of me. And then something would come from India where Baba would give a clue through correspondence with Mani or some clue. Yes, I'm thinking of you. So we were blessed because of Elizabeth, our contact with Baba, Elizabeth Patterson, as you know, who founded the center in Myrtle Beach, because she was our link to Baba. The letters that came from Mani to Elizabeth, and because at that time you weren't supposed to write much, and Baba was in seclusion, but we got glimpses. Mara and Mani could write to Elizabeth and to Kitty, to my mother, Jane. So we got messages and glimpses. And in those messages and glimpses, Baba, Mani would describe Baba watching the film of 1958 when he was there. Somebody sent the copy and he watched it in Mondley Hall. And every time, according to Mani's letter, every time my little white head would pop up, Baba would lean forward and say, there he is, that's Charles. Or when Wendy popped up, there's Wendy. And when I read that, I was so reassured. No, he hasn't forgotten me. Now I know he's the avatar. That's what people say. He has the whole world to deal with. And I was beginning to think, well, how could he possibly have time for me? But there it is. He wanted me to know because I was a child, I guess. Baba was so compassionate with those, young children who loved him and wanted just to be with him. That he let them know that he hadn't forgotten. So, in those 4 years, I developed my own inner relationship with him, not by design, not by thinking about it, but just by being with him. Just, his presence, his learning about him, walking at the center and all that. I developed my own understanding of Baba, not understanding more than that, my own sense of who he is in myself, not who somebody told me he was. And I was a very shy child, and I was a very introverted child, and self-conscious, and I didn't talk about this to people, but inside, I I was growing to know him. At least I thought so. I didn't I didn't even think that it was impossible. And yet I missed him also. He was in India. And so, yes, I would say, oh, if only we could see him. And we waited every day, every single day of that time in our lives. I remember this. Maybe it was not everybody, but me, and I'm sure my mother, Jane, every phone call, every time the phone would ring. I mean, you see, in those days, we didn't have internet. No, you may not be old enough, but you didn't have any of these things, and much less instant communication and so forth. You relied on the cable was going to come, right? And if a cable came or something like that, they would call you up. Now, if the cable was going to come, that Baba was going to see us, it would go to Elizabeth and Kitty in Myrtle Beach, and we were now living in New York. But then they would call. Elizabeth would call immediately and give us the good news that Baba has said he will see us. I mean, that was what we lived for, waited for, and longed for every day. But he was with me. I felt him close, and yet he was absent. He was in India, and both. Baba is both, present and absent. And I think maybe many of you identify with this. This really is life with Baba. His presence and his absence, they are two sides of one thing, coin with Baba. the more present he is sometimes, the more absent he feels, the more one longs to be with him. So there it is. But he finally called us and he said, you can come. He's going to have this gathering, long postponed, the East-West gathering, he called it. It was supposed to be months before that, and then he postponed that, changed it. You know, Baba, the only consistent thing about Baba was that he would change his plans. Otherwise, you know, Baba, that was, you could depend on Baba, you know, to change his plans. So he changed it and put it another date, and so we were all just so ecstatic that we were going to go and see him again after 4 long years. And then, and of course, I was very joyous and happy. I was so looking forward to seeing him again. But you know that, yeah, it's not exactly, maybe doubt is a good word, right? For it. Maybe so. I mean, I had great faith in Baba, you could say, but you know, I don't doubt Baba exactly. I doubt what I think about Baba. I doubt what I feel. I mean, I was 13 years old, so even more acutely did I have those doubts and feelings because what did I know? I mean, I'm not sure I know anything now, but at least now I'm used to Baba's ways. Get used to Baba's ways, you know, these things happen. And you know they're going to be dry periods. You know they're going to be difficult times. It just comes with being with him, right? It's part of the joy of being with him. You have these, you know, desert and mountains and, you know, the whole thing in the dream. So I had this sort of nagging feeling of, with my joy of going, of wait, wait, is my Baba going to be there? And what I mean is, my feeling was, I've gotten to know Baba. I have become, in a way, intimate with Baba. And, but is that the same as Baba sitting in India? I mean, I hadn't seen him in physical form, but just a few times, you know, in 1958 when I was 8 years old. And, you know, but I had grown to feel like I knew him. And so the closer we got to India and to Guru Prasad in Pune, where Baba was going to have this darshan, the closer we got, the more sort of anxious, you know, I got, right? I mean, uh, well, what if what if my Baba is not Baba? I don't know if that conveys, but for a 13-year-old especially, that's a great anxiety, you know. For an introvert, you know, did I get it? Am I really and I treasured my Baba, right? It was my companion. My Baba was my companion, but was it so that it was the Baba sitting there? And so along with the joy, I had this anxiety, this kind of self-doubt, you know. But when we arrived there at Guru Prasad, and the first morning of Darshan, the Western women went first. Every other day we'd all go together, but first day Baba had Western women come and meet with him. And so that's so that Mera and the women Mandali could be with them. And then the next part of the day was the men. And so naturally I came then, and uh, I'm on the veranda of Guru Prasad, and I'm standing in this line of all these adults. You know, there are a few young people, but mostly adults. and I can't see anything, it's this line of people, and I am inching my way towards the big sort of porch doors that open into Gurprasad, into this large, large room where we were going to have Darshan, and Baba was seated at the far end of the room on a sofa. And, but I didn't know any of this standing in line. I hadn't seen anything. But I just, and the closer I got, the more this sort of anxiety sort of rose to the surface. You know, what if my Baba isn't Baba? Or this Baba is not my Baba? I mean, I didn't know how to think about it. I just had this feeling. Uh, and I didn't know how I was going to be reassured. But I got to the threshold, took my shoes off, and I stepped over the threshold, and this fragrance hit me. And I can't say, people say, well, what do you mean fragrance? What did it smell? I don't know. It was Baba. It was his fragrance. And it was so strong when I stepped over. And in that moment, I looked and I couldn't see Baba, but I saw this hand go up in the air. Baba gesturing is what it was. It was his hand. And I saw the hand and I knew, yes, yes, that's Baba. That's my Baba. And all the anxiety went away. All it was my Baba. Now, I say this because for the rest of my life, I realized Baba gave me that as a young man on the threshold of adulthood so that I would always know to follow my Baba. Now, I'm not saying my Baba I'm not any closer to knowing Baba, than anybody else who's not God realized. I'm not saying I have a claim to some insight that others don't have. I'm saying that we each have our Baba in our heart. It's wherever we are with him. It changes, but it's ours. And it's no one else's, which is what is so beautiful about this advent of this avatar, because it is so much each one he gives some portion of himself, some recognition, each one. And it's not less or more, right? It's not some are closer, some are farther. He is in everyone, but he's awakening himself. And so he awakens himself differently in each person. And somebody says, well, that's not right. That's not Baba. Or what? Why does that person say that? Or how's that person? And Baba would say, what? What? Yeah, that's their portion. That's your portion you have, and that's to be respected and to be accepted by others, because if we love Baba, that's what he asks. And so my Baba is not better or worse, but it's mine. And it is what I can listen to in myself. It's what I can depend on in myself. That's not Baba according to the discourses. That's not Baba according to what the Mandli say. That's not Baba according to some experience people might have in sacred places associated with him. Those are all clues. They're clues. They give a sense of him. And that helps stir the inner self to recognize Baba inside. But that's Baba inside is not those things. Those things are not Baba. They're wonderful things. And I'm so grateful for everything he gave in his advent to give us these clues, but they're not Baba. My Baba is my Baba. And the great gift of that, of remembering that, that's why I think he gave it to me as a 13-year-old, because the great gift of that is that when it changes, when my Baba maybe is shattered or challenged by some things that happen in my life, I always know to look within and find my Baba again. It will be different. But if I'm fixed out here on Baba, you know, this is Baba, this is Baba, or this person is closer to Baba, this person, if I fixate on that, then of course I'm not focusing on Baba inside, which is where he is, where he dwells. So as you all know, so this is the thing. This is the ground of our faith is the recognition he gives us that he is within us, and that what we discover about him, as limited as it may be, is him. We can trust that. And no one can say to us, no, no, no. Baba, did you read this in the discourse? Baba says such and such. And believe me, people have told me this in my lifetime. Sometimes not very nice about it. How can you say that? Sometimes I get frustrated with other people and I say, well, that's not what, and then I have to catch myself. Yeah. As Erich would always say, that's their portion. What have you to say? Why do you say? Yeah, that's their portion. So, yeah, we all live in ignorance. Well, unless you're God realized, and then I'm accepting you from this observation. But short of that, we all live in ignorance, he says. That's not my idea. We all, I'm not calling names, we are all ignorant of everything. We actually know nothing. Sort of I mean, we have experiences which we can go back to and rely on. There's no question. Baba gives that. But in terms of understanding something about him, we don't know. Our faith in him is always being challenged by our ego mind, not so much by other people, unless the ego mind is using other people to get at us, to shake us, which happens. But it's the ego mind. The ego mind does not want us to rest in this recognition or to grow in it, more importantly. It does not want that. Why? Because it's death to the ego mind to do that, Baba says. It's death. And the ego mind doesn't want to die. So doubts come up. Naturally, they do. That's how the mind is. The mind has to doubt, or it wouldn't be mind, right? It wouldn't be mind. The limitation of the ego mind is that it has to doubt. It has to question. And there is a what do you say? A purpose in that. It is. It's important to have that aspect of oneself that sort of says, wait a minute, is good, but at the same time remind oneself, well, all right, beware of the tricks of the ego mind. And if we have doubts, we can always turn to Baba and say, Baba, increase my faith. We can ask. There's a beautiful little story in the New Testament that some of you may remember. I think I got this right, where a father of a sick boy brings the boy to be healed by the disciples of Jesus because they were seen as being able to cast out demons, which is how they understood illness. So the father brought, and the disciples couldn't do anything. They tried, and it didn't. And so Jesus came upon this, and he said, what is this? What is happening here? And the father said, I they're not helping. Now you can help him if you can. If you can, you see, what kind of faith is that? If you can. And Jesus said, uh, you know, with real, true faith, anything is possible. And the man realized, he said, oh, Lord, he said, I believe. Help my unbelief. I believe. Help my unbelief. And Jesus was touched by that answer. And he cured the boy. Help my unbelief. So, like I say, in my life anyway, I don't think I doubt Bob exactly, but I very much call into question what my mind tells me about Bob. Oh, how many times have I decided I've settled on some understanding? And I think I've broken that habit, I hope, and not settling on any understanding of Baba. Because as he says, the moment you understand God, you misunderstand him. I don't know anything. And that's not humility. That's just the bald truth. Erich always said, when he would talk about stories, whatever, and people would ask him questions, and you know what he would say? You remember, those of you who were there or have heard him speak, yeah, he would say, this is what I have gathered. Now, if anyone had license to say, this is from Baba, or this is what Baba, no, he would never do that. This is what I have gathered. I love that because it rings so true. And then when he says it, you feel like, yeah, what he's gathered is so profound and deep, but it comes out of humility. Elizabeth, I mentioned already, Elizabeth Patterson, my link to Baba and my spiritual mother, no question. Uh, People would come and ask her things, you know, uh, this issue or that thing in their lives. And usually it would be something difficult because she didn't see many people like Kitty saw people all the time, or my mother, Jane. But, Elizabeth, that was not her role exactly. But when something vitally important came up in someone's life, they would often want to see her. They knew of her wisdom and they knew, her closeness to Baba. Was she the key Western disciple for Baba in this Advent? I'm not going to compare, but I would say yes, if you ask me. And they would give her, and she would listen. If it was in a letter, she would read it, and then she would say, let me sleep on it. Usually, she'd say, because she never just answered. And I think it was her father's habit too. He was a businessman. Let me sleep on it. And she might put the letter on the mantelpiece under kind of a brick thing that was there under Baba's picture overnight. And the next morning, when the person came back, she would inevitably say something like, well, It came to me last night. It came to me last night. Never, Baba has given me to tell you, never Baba says, Baba this. I never heard her do that in 23 years that I was blessed to be near her. It was always, it came to me. But when she gave you what came to her, it was as though, you were just hit by this, oh, so true, so obvious. Why didn't I think of that? So it rang so true. So that's the thing. It's getting out of the way because the ego mind will do anything and everything, to make us question this and doubt. It's like that. It's part of what we have to struggle with and go through. It's the human condition. But Baba wants us to be as honest as we can when that happens. I think all of you know, as well as I do, how much Baba treasured, prized honesty, right? Honesty. Baba was always interested in honesty, and now, of course, as you also probably know, what he meant by that, in a short way of saying it, he said was, be honest, but do not say or do anything that will hurt the heart of another. Be honest, but don't do it in a way that hurts the heart of another. That was honesty for Baba. So with that understanding of honesty, Baba wants us to be completely honest. And on one occasion, this is what he said about being honest with him. He said, do not propagate what you do not feel. What your heart says and your conscience dictates. Your conscience dictates about me. Pour out without hesitation. Follow your conscience. That's where he speaks. Be mindful, he says, of whether you be unmindful of whether you are ridiculed or accepted in pouring out your heart for me or against me to others. If you take Baba as God incarnate, say so. Do not hesitate. If you think Baba is the devil, say it. Do not be afraid. I am everything that you take me to be, and I am also beyond everything. If your conscience says that Baba is the avatar, say it, even if you are stoned for it. But if you feel he is not, then say that you feel Baba is not the avatar. Of myself, I say again and again, I am the ancient one, the highest of the high. So, what is the aim of this journey of love? What is the aim of this life with Baba? And surely the aim is to go beyond faith and beyond doubt and arrive at true conviction, which true conviction, it's another form of faith. It's a deeper form of faith. So it's not, getting away from faith, but it's a different kind of level of faith. And he says conviction cannot be attained on our own. It's impossible. Cannot be attained. It is only possible through grace. And that grace is bestowed when the moment is right, not before or after, but when the moment is right. He will give us the grace of surrender, of conviction. We begin our life with Baba. There's no question. We begin our life like I did in 1958, moving between faith and doubt. Right? We move between, and it's different for each person what that means, but we do the questioning, the this, that, and that movement draws us forward. If we don't, if by his grace we don't get stuck in it for a long time. Uh, but eventually he gives us the gift of complete surrender. Then that's conviction. To surrender is to become more aware that everything is his will. Surrender to that is his gift. You know, when I started going to India after Baba dropped the body, one of the things that came up was uh, uh, I don't know how it came up with Erich, but I asked him, what is the difference? Is there a difference between just having faith in Baba and having real conviction about Baba? And he says, yeah, there is. There is. I said, well, what's the difference? And then he told me this little story, which many of you may know, but it's so sweet that I'm going to tell it again. A story of that happened in the early days at Meherabad. Now, this is before Erich was there. So he's telling me what he heard from other earlier Mandali who were there. And what happened was that a man came from the local village, Arangan, and the Baba and the Mandali, it was new, right? They hadn't been there that long, but word was out. There's this holy man now. He's there. Someone great. And so this farmer came, and he came and he said, "Oh, Holy One, oh, Master, you need to help me. I'm desperate. I'm desperate." He said, "If I don't find water, I'm ruined. I can't feed my family. My farm is drying up. There's so drought, and I need water." Of course, this is a perennial problem at Meherabad, right? And Arangan, that area is very arid. And Baba, please, you are, all knowing. You're, this, that, please. He begged him, please help me, help me. And Baba, looked at him, and he was using the board at the time. And Baba said, Baba said, "So what have you done?" He said, "Well, I've dug this hole, and should I go further down? Should I go further down, Baba? It's very difficult to dig in this hard rock and all." And Baba said, "Yes, yeah, yeah, go down, go down, go down." I think he said 5 more feet, something like that, which is going to be a big project, right? I mean, so stone and all, yeah. So oh, thank you, and he was just so happy, "Oh, thank you, Baba, you've saved me." Yeah, and he left. Well, after he left, Baba, Erich acted all this out, which was so wonderful. Erich said, Baba looked at them all and he said, "What have I done? Why did you let me do that? What have I done?" And they said, "Well, Baba, you gave him, yeah, you told him how helped him and all that. He's very happy." No, no, Baba said, "I told him that he would find water. If he did the 5 more feet or whatever it was, he would find water. But how do I know that? I don't know that. Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. Oh, Baba, it's all right. He will understand. If, then he'll have to do something else." No, no, Baba said, "You don't understand. You don't understand. These villagers, we are new here. What happens if he doesn't find water?" And he gets very angry at me, for all that I put him through. And here I'm going to give him the key to find, I am the master and all that. And what if he doesn't find it? What'll happen? Yeah, and they said, "Well, Baba, it's all right, isn't it?" No, no, Baba said, "You don't understand. The village will come here, and they will come and they will be bearing torches and pitchforks, and they will drive us out of here. For, say, this man is a fraud here. He says he's this master and all that. He's nothing. Why we're going to drive him out. And Baba said, see, you've let me do this. Why did you let me do this? Oh, I said, Baba, I, you know, and they didn't know. And so Baba kept, the next day, Baba was on it and started again. And they, Baba was just anxious. And they said, it's all right, Baba. And then the next day he was again. Uh, and the Mondley began to, to avoid him. Because if they got too close, Baba would start in again about why did you make me do this? And why did you let me do it? You should have stopped me. I don't know. And so finally, Eric said some of them began to get anxious too. Yeah, oh my God, what will happen to us? What will happen to us? We'll be driven out and all that. So I guess third day, fourth day, whatever it was, Baba says, now go look, go look. Are they coming? Are they coming? See if they're coming. And if you can see them, do they look happy? Do they look angry? Are they carrying instruments? Go look. And so they went and looked. Not yet, Baba. No, no, go look again. And so finally they came back and says, Baba, yeah, there's this huge crowd coming this way. Oh, Baba says, no. So what is it? Is it, are they happy? Yeah, Baba, it looks like they're very happy. They're carrying garlands and fruits and so forth. Yeah, it must be very happy. Oh, Baba said, oh, thank God, Baba says. So they come, and then of course the farmer and all the villagers, oh, they bow down and oh, hear Baba's garland. They sing Baba praises and arti and oh, yeah, Baba. They lighting, a candle. I mean, incense and giving fruits and oh, Baba, thank you so much. Thank you for giving us water. You have saved me. You have saved all of us. What a great thing. Not only was there water. I only went 3 feet, and this water came. Baba, so much water. Ah, so much water. We have never seen such a thing. We have so much water now. Baba says, that's good. I'm happy to hear it. Oh, thank you, Baba. Baba said, Baba, Baba said, but just know that it was your faith that found the water. Oh, yes, thank you. But, Baba, that's so, yes, Baba. They didn't pay any attention to that. I mean, yeah, okay, fine, Baba. But you told us to do it. Baba said, no, no, no. Really speaking, Baba said, I don't perform miracles. It's your faith. It's your great faith that found the water. Oh, thank you, Baba. Thank you. So they would, and finally, after some time, they left. And Baba said to the Mandli, he said, well, what great faith that man has. No doubt about it. Great faith. He has great faith. See how it is. His faith, and he found the water. Yeah, it's a great thing. And the Mandli people, they kind of, later on, they began amongst themselves to grumble. What? What is this? This man has great faith? What about us? So you go to Baba and they said, Baba, wait. Yeah, you say this man found this water, he has great faith. You pointed him to do this, he went and did it, and you say, well, he had such great faith. The water was there. But Baba, how many months have we been looking for water here in Meherabad? Huh? How many months? You've said, dig here, dig there. We do, and there's nothing. There's nothing. No water. We found nothing, Baba. So what is it? We don't have faith. We don't have the great faith that he has. Then why are we with you if we have so little faith? And they were really perturbed about this. So that's it, he said. I said, don't you know? Yeah, he has great faith. No question, he has great faith. But what happens if there was no water? Yeah, he would turn on me. But you people have something so great. You have conviction. And whether you find water or not, it makes no difference to you because you have conviction in me. I mean, Erich himself, as I'm sure you all know this, when he joined Baba in 1938 as a very young man, and Baba had him bring his whole family, give up everything, their estate, Erich's planned career as an engineer, all that, and come to serve him. So that he did. He did. Famously, when Baba asked him, he said, well, by your grace, Baba, anything is possible. And Baba said, good, come next month. You know, and so he did. But Eric says, yeah, I knew Baba, he loved me, and there's no question and all that. I wanted to serve him. Yeah, I did. I did. Yeah, I was keen to do that. He said, I told Baba, I don't know, Baba. I don't have this conviction that you are God in human form. I don't know, Baba. That I don't have that. I don't know what that is. Yeah, yeah. Baba said, don't worry about it. Yeah, Baba, I don't have this. Baba said, don't worry about it. Just love me, serve me. That's all. Yeah, I don't worry about that. It doesn't matter. Yeah, all right. So he's with Baba. These years go by. He becomes more and more central to Baba's work, you could say. More and more Baba's closest companion, friend, brother, all that. The one Baba loved, the company he loved the most, I would say on the men's side, Erich. And Erich would not like me saying it, but it's true. And uh, yeah, but this thing about God, some human being God, yeah, it wasn't something he could accept. And then he became more and more the interpreter. And at one point in the early 50s, when Baba was now going to give out messages about himself, he was speaking out for, that he is the avatar of the age and all that. And that in those mass darshans that he did in India in the early 50s. And so Erich, of course, had to accompany him. And Erich was the one who read out or spoke out, interpreted uh, his uh, his message. And Erich said to Baba, he said, Baba, how can I do this? Baba, I don't have this conviction of God and all that. How am I supposed to say these things? Meher Baba is the avatar and this and that. And Baba said, what? What is the problem here? You don't have to say you think I am the avatar, or I am God in human form, or I am the highest of the high. Just say, Baba says, I am the ancient one, like that. Say that. Can you do that? Yeah, Baba, I can do that. I can say that. Baba says, and that's what he did. No. And so I said, and everyone else who's went in those days to see Erich after Baba dropped the body, you know, the one thing one wanted to know from him was, well, the, when did you, if ever, come to realize or have the conviction that he is God in human form, that he was God in human form? And Erich said, well, and he said it different ways at different times, but he would always answer it. And it's written somewhere how he answered it on one occasion. You know, Erich would always answer according to who he was speaking to also. And what he said to me was, he said, well, yeah, what can I tell you? Yeah, I lived with him day by day. We traveled together and all that. I took care of his body. That was my duty. Yeah, his clothes and all that. And yeah, you know, I did all those things, he said. And what can I say? What a human being he was. Yeah, has there ever been a human being like that? Every day I'd see him, you know, we travel sometimes remote places, early morning, late night. I would be there next to him, see everything, hear everything, all that. And what a human being he was. Say, and you have no idea what a human being he was. Something's something I how could you even say it? His patience with us. Ah, I- no idea how it was he was so patient with us. His compassion, yeah, his compassion. And he gave some examples of seeing Baba's compassion that touched him particularly. One of them was, I remember, was a young woman came who was pregnant out of wedlock and hiding it from her family because in her situation it would be a terrible shame on the family and who knows what ramifications it would have for her, dangerous even. And yet, you know, there she was pregnant, what to do? And she came to Baba and Erich was there and Baba said, no, yeah, here's what you do. And we will tell your family that you're coming, that I've invited you to come and be with me here for some time. Yeah. Yeah. And you will come and stay here. We won't say anything else. Just tell them that. They love me. They'll accept that. And then you can bring the child to term, you see. So Baba took care of her. When the child came, the child. Air said, you know, what compassion he had. He said, I saw that again and again for each one. So compassionate he was. He said, yeah, so to me, Baba was the perfect human. And that's how I came to know he was God. Yeah, because he, as the perfect human, what could he be but divine? And so Erich said, yeah, what can you do in your life with him but surrender to him? Yeah, surrender. He said, Charles, just surrender. Everything is his will, everything. Yeah, if you try to do that, Eric said, I know you can't do that. It's very difficult to do that. I'm not, but try to do that. And then try again the next day and the next day. But the grace will come and the conviction will come. And we prepare for the grace by remembering him, obeying him. As Baba says, I reside in each one. So love others, serve others, make others happy, even at the cost of your own happiness. This is to love me. Do that, and you will die to self and live in him. Do that, and you will have conviction that he is all there is, that the will of God is all there is. As Baba says, the moment the intensity of your faith in my will reaches its height, you say goodbye to worry forever. Then all that you have suffered and enjoyed in the past, together with all that you may experience in the future, will be to you the most loving and spontaneous expression of my will. And nothing will ever be able to cause you worry again. Jai Baba.
Jai Meher Baba. Charles, thank you. Thank you for these beautiful shares and talking about faith and doubt. It's just my thought as I was listening to you, would you say that it is necessary, like doubt is a necessary component to lead us to faith, which would lead us to surrender and ultimately to have conviction? Does that sound right to you? So,
Well, yeah, because from what I gather from him is that that's the human condition. Whether we want to doubt or have faith, we do because of our many, many impressions. Baba says the illusion, the dream, if you will, is governed by the law of karma and sanskaras. And so, yes, we are those things. But he says, but Baba also puts it in a bigger picture and says, well, but all of that is the will of God. So if I doubt, it's God's will. If I have faith, it's God's will. And this is not easy for people to say, well, oh my gosh, I should not doubt. Well, no, maybe you'd like not to doubt. But if one does, Baba says, remember, it's all my will. It's like when he says in his wish, if you're happy, think Baba wants me to be happy. If you suffer, think Baba wants me to suffer. Now, what does that mean? That doesn't mean Baba is like, oh, yes, I want you to suffer exactly. He means that his will is that we go through all this. We want to suffer because the will of God is our will, ultimately. We don't have a will. There's no independent free will here because I do not exist. The only thing that exists, God wills in the whim everything. It's all there. So what I'm doing right now, today, was written then, and I'm living it out. So that puts doubt and faith, I think, in the big picture of, well, it's part of what we live out. And yeah, when it happens, it happens. And sometimes people may say, oh, so and so has just strayed away from Baba. Yeah, they don't. And well, we don't know. It may be that they came to doubt, but that was not their doing. It was the will of God. And yes, their impressions led them to that. So in that sense, it's their doing, but their doing is also the will of God. So that's it all goes back to that it's all meant to be. And so it's, Bob says, once we sort of have that in our heart that this is all his will, then doubts come, faith comes, all that. But uh, yeah, we know it's just part of what it is to be a human being. Yeah, like that.
I just think, what Charles was talking about, Baba also likes to send kind of little winks and confirmations
Hmm.
once in a while. Just this morning, I was listening on my walk to a YouTube recording of, among other people, Ibn Arabi. Ibn Arabi is a person that Baba identified as a perfect master in God Speaks, and he is among the few names that he has put in the Sufi charter for us to study. So I knew very little about him because his teachings always came across as so complicated. But anyhow, I was listening to something about what he was saying. And, Charles, I think you put your finger on a very kind of important and common point of this self-doubt about whether if what I feel about Baba is, an illusion, if I'm making it up, or if it is really like, just as you said, if it is Baba. And, it can become a stumbling block. So, Ibn Arabi was saying that regardless of what the clergy may tell you or the books may tell you, you need to rely on what you feel is right for you. Now, he said that 700 years ago in the middle of the Orthodoxy.
Yeah.
And if he got into trouble for many of the things he said. And then he quotes the Prophet Muhammad saying that religion is something that you should feel at ease with. It is not something that you should kind of be forced and that it is restricted. And that if you have to feel comfortable with God, you have to feel at ease with God. And he went to say that, the Quran, every time a person reads it, it's a new Quran. It is not a bunch of words on a book, and it's not a point that is being made.
Yeah.
It is a discovery that each person brings to that reading of Quran, and that is the truth of the Quran. And he also said that because at his time, of course, the Prophet had been gone physically for 600-700 years. He said, now we are in the third part of the night. The first time is before he comes, then the second time is when he's in the body, and the third is when he is gone. He says, at this time, God says, let me read the Quran to you, which means listen to me speaking to your heart, the Quran, the real Quran. And he says, Quran is not in Arabic or any language or any words. Anyhow, I thought this was such a kind of a complete reiteration of what you were talking about, that you go with what your heart says what Baba is.
That's
So
beautiful.
thank you, Baba.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I mean, it's Baba's brought that alive again in this day. So when he says, do nothing, not even to please me, that goes against the dictates of your conscience. means that's where he speaks. Does he, do we hear him completely or fully? No, but we go with it. And then he will take us to a deeper understanding. But yeah, so thank you for sharing that. So beautiful. So someone in the chat asked this, and I saw a comment that about from a spiritual perspective, is each individual soul truly the same as Baba, or is it simply connected to him, like the relationship between the sun and its rays, where the ray carries the light of the sun, but is not the sun itself? Does the soul merely emanate from Baba, or is it in essence one with him, one with infinity? Well, obviously I don't know, but I mean, but what Baba has given, I think, is pretty clear on this point to me, and that is there's only one. There's only one. And uh, ultimately, the reality is, yes, Baba talks about the 10 states of God. He talks about these things as a way of trying help our minds envision something that we can't envision, that's beyond the mind. So he gives us these things for the mind, and to help the mind settle down and to have something to think about. But Baba says, don't forget that you don't know. You know, you live in ignorance. So never sort of stop and say, okay, yeah, this is what it means. This is what Baba says. But if we look at what he says, he definitely says over and over again, there's he even says to say God is one is misleading. You know, God just is. There's nothing else. God alone is real. You know, and first this is to the boys in Meher Ashram one day at the end of his lecture. He said because it was a complex lecture. I love these lectures where he talks about all the different awake state and the different states and so forth. And then at the end of the lecture, he says, well, you know, this is good and fine and good, but just remember only this. All this is a dream. God alone is real. God is love. So, Baba says, create love. That's it. So there are no distinctions. From our limited mind point of view, Baba gives distinctions. Yeah, the ancient one was the first soul to complete the journey. It's a metaphor, it's a way of speaking. But in 1958 at the Sahavas, Baba said to us, you know, he said, what is my experience of Sahavas? He said, my experience of Sahavas is there is Baba, there is Baba, there is Baba, there is Baba, there's only Baba. That's my experience. He says, each and every one of you is the avatar. Uh, so, yeah, apparently in that ultimate state that we can only we can't even grasp or imagine it, honestly. But in that state, the Baba points to beyond all thought and beyond all reason, beyond all concepts, he says, there is only God. There is nothing else. No divisions, no differences. Oh, but what he says, this infinite individuality. Again, a way of speaking. If the drop soul realizes God, he says, then that drop soul experiences itself as God, as the ocean, doesn't experience itself as a separate drop. It's the ocean. But Baba says you could say that's individualized drop is experiencing the ocean because infinite individuality, you could say, is what he calls it. Infinite individuality means that, of course, that doesn't mean that the ocean stops experiencing itself as drop souls, right? That goes on and on and on. The nothing within the everything, he says, is infinite. It's infinite. The nothing is infinite, just like the everything is infinite. And it's unlimited. It's eternal. The nothing is eternal. It's within the everything. And it's not the other way around. The everything is not within the nothing. But the nothing is within the everything, because Baba says, look, would it be everything if it didn't include the nothing? So it is. So that's all to say there's only one. There's only one reality, according to him.
I asked if worry and not being happy with the situation was a form of doubt. And because I always say, oh, I don't doubt Baba at all. I never doubt Baba. But I do say that. Oh, never. I have conviction. But then I looked deeper and I thought, now that is, when you worry, you're not trusting Baba.
Yeah.
When you're not happy with a situation that
that's a good way to put it, because that's right. I mean, Baba is not, of course, we can only do this when we're ready. Baba gives us, so it's fine to have we all have our own limitations where we are. So Baba doesn't, but if we want to be happy, if we want to have joy in our life with him, then we should try not to worry. That's the thing. And yes, trust in him completely. Baba says, trust in God completely and he'll resolve all difficulties. Well, yeah, and instead we kind of worry about how to do this and how to do that, how to fix this and how to fix that. And Baba says, well, you can do that, but it doesn't make any difference. You actually can't do anything. So I said to Erich, I said, well, Erich, how is the Erich and I went at it about this free will thing and God's will and all this, because I was really struggling as a young man, with this notion that it's all God's will and all written and all this stuff. And yeah, Erich kind of kept bringing up to me like, well, it uh, yeah, it just is, it all is. But he said, we asked Baba, how is it then we can live with you? In other words, if there's no free will, I mean, and we have no agency here. How can we be motivated to do all this for him and work for him and all that? And why not just do? I said to him too. I said, look, Erich, if Baba is God in human form, I mean, what can we do? Yeah, he said, it's so true, brother. What can we do? Nothing. But so what does he say? But he said, but but I'm telling you, brother, would we do that? Would we do that? Nothing. No, we would not do that. Yeah, my duty, take care of him and all that. You think Dr. Goher would do nothing? Not give him the medication, not, or she'd say, well, Baba is who he God, so today we don't have to give the medication like that. Eric said, no, we would not do that. So Baba told us what to do. He said, to live with me, to serve me, do this. Act as though everything depends on your actions. And at the same time, keep in your mind, I do nothing. So if we do that, and Eric said, can you do that? I said, I don't know, Eric, I'm not sure I can. He said, yeah, you can do it. Do it. Yeah, you can do that. It's just, yeah, do the best you can do. Yeah. You give your but he said, be wholehearted. Don't, I'm going to do it, but, I don't have to really put my heart into it. And Baba doesn't need me to do this. Yeah, Eric said, no, Baba doesn't need you, but you need him. And if you love, if he loves you and has called you to him, means that what you do for him is for the sake of love, not because it's going to help him. He can do his work by himself, not because you're going to heal his body. He is God after all, but because in doing it with your whole heart, you discover what love is. You grow in love. You grow closer to him. It's your opportunity. And he gives you that as well. It's your time and your journey that he gives you that. So it's from him also. It all comes from him. We don't seek him. He seeks us. You know, we don't try to find him. He finds us. So we say, oh yeah, I'm going to do this for Bob. I'm going to do that. No, it's because he's doing it. But we, in our limited, ignorant state, all we can do is say, I'm going to do everything as though it all counts on me. And I'm going to, at the same time, I'm going to say, Baba, I know I do nothing. You alone are the doer. And that way, Eric says, yeah, that's freedom. That's freedom. Yeah.
I'm nervous to ask this because it's probably leads to a whole nother talk by Charles, which I'd be happy to listen to. But just to warn you, Charles, I'm not able to do the nothing. And if I try to do everything, I wear myself out. And when I think of everybody having their Baba, it's a really relief to think of that. On the other hand, I do remember with Erich and Mandalay Hall, if somebody's Baba got out of line with something that Erich thought was very important, and this included me as well, in front of everyone, he would put me or whoever was really out of line in their place, but he would do it in a way that we could cope with, give us all the support we needed.
Yeah.
And so just, I just don't know how to go from here because, I'm in situations to where, like if I'm under attack by somebody and I'm criticized and I want to criticize them, it hurts. Like something happened yesterday and I opened HAFEZ and it said, well, maybe a stone should be attached to the person's foot. And I thought, oh, great, HAFEZ is on my side. What can you say about that? Because I'm so mixed up. I mean, I've got all this criticism and I want to love and I want to be nothing, but I can't.
Yeah, no, we can't. We can't. So I think that's you just answered that because you answered the whole thing. We can't. And Baba says many times, he says, you can't do it. So, what to do? Well, trust that he'll do it. Now, when we do what we do, and it seems wrong-headed, it seems a mistake, it seems, foolish or whatever, to us later, maybe. If we did it for him, it's fine. It's meant to be that way. So the key, I think, with him, from what I gather from what he said, is whatever it is you do, just do it for me. And then I'll take care of it. Hey, if it's if it doesn't work out, fine. Wasn't meant to. If it does, fine, it was meant to, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing. The only thing is that our suffering from these things is because we think, oh, that's a mistake, or I did this, or I did that. And Baba says, but yeah, but the more you realize and you just remember that you don't. But to live that way, Baba says, the only way you can live that way is what he calls provisional ego, is Baba. Baba, that's what Erich told me to do every time before I speak. He says, Baba told Erich, before you speak about me, say, Baba, let me say only that which you wish to be said. Baba said, say that. Pray that to me every time. And then say whatever it comes. Speak out. Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. Is it good? Is it bad? You've given it to me. Do what you can do. Do the best you can do. You're human. You're limited. You're not going to, we don't know what to do. So, but if we don't say that, then I think we begin to worry. We begin to be self-conscious. Elizabeth used to tell me growing up, she said, Charles, there are no mistakes with Bob. And it took me many years to realize what she meant. She didn't mean that we don't do things that later we say, oh gosh, I wish I hadn't done that, or, that was not a good thing. Yeah, we feel that, but it was all written. So we had to go through that. And we go through it, we see it, we say, oh, yeah, I went through that, but that's not me, real me, that's false me. And false me is going to do all these things. And false me gets overwhelmed by my remembrance that I do nothing. I mean, Baba promises us that if we hold on to him, and that's his grace, if Baba keeps us holding on to him, I'll put it that way, then he's going to kill the ego off. He's going to do it. It's like that quote, Baba said, remember me, that's your job. Everything else is my job.
Oh, that makes sense. No,
Everything is my job.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about it. People might say, oh, you are this, you are that. And when Erich or Elizabeth or any of them who would live with him would say, yeah, they would, yes, they should speak up if they feel in a loving way, like you say. But, they never make one feel, in my experience, that, you did it. I mean, and you are going to be, something wrong. It's like, no, just be aware. And then, okay, fine.
Try to learn to see other people that way. That's what, yeah, so that's what you're talking about, is our efforts to actually see other people in that way,
Yeah.
which is called love, which is a
Yes.
word I understand very little more the more older I get.
Right.
Thank you, Charles. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.